Hi class, this is our last part of the introduction to SEM, and we are going to have a quick overview of the mathematical elements used in SEM. In our previous video, we mentioned that in SEM, there are two matrices. One is the observed matrix from the data we collected, and the other is the model implied matrix that express your theoretical hypothesis. When you compare the two matrices, you have the so-called model fit indices, which gave you evidence whether the data support the theoretical relationships that was proposed in your model. So the first point here is that in SEM, we do not analyze the raw data directly. Rather, we analyze the correlation matrix or the covariance matrix that generated from the data. Next week, we are going to talk in more details about how do we generate the model implied matrix. And the key word there is called the partition of variance. And once we have the observed matrix and the model implied matrix, the comparison between the two will give us the model fit. And the keyword there is called residuals. Residuals are the differences between the observed matrix from the data and the model implied matrix from your theoretical propositions. There are two types of SEM models. One is the path model, the path analysis. The other one called latent variable SEM. The difference between the two is that in path analysis, you do not have the so-called latent variables. All your variables are directly measurable. In latent variable SEM, on the other hand, you have underlying factors. Those are called latent factors that cannot be observed or measured directly. So you have to identify the measurable indicators for each of the latent factor before you can collect your data and run your analysis. This is an example of path analysis. So you have 4 measured variables. Remember, in SEM, the rectangular shape indicate measured variables. In this model, you can see that the proposed relationships are a student reading and math self-concepts impact their academic goal orientation, which in turn impact their SAT math scores. The example we used in the previous video is a latent factor SEM model. We have 5 latent factors. Each of them have some 1 or 2 measured variables as indicators. As we will learn in depth in the future, the variable relationships expressed in the diagram can be shown as linear equations, like we did in multiple regression. And that is why multiple regression is the most important statistical element or the mathematical element of SEM. Another important mathematical component of SEM is called the factor analysis. Factor analysis is used to evaluate how well the measured variables capture the information of the underlying factors. Finally, the SEM software that we're going to use in this course is Mplus. There are several popular SEM software out there. Mplus is one of them. There are others are Listro, Amos by SPSS. And the reason I choose Mplus is because first, the university have software license, and second, this software has a wide variety of analytical capabilities. You can see the list that I put down here. Personally, I like the user interface that allows you to write syntax in a command file. I believe in the process of writing syntax, you are processing your analytical approach or process step by step. You get more thought about your analysis. So, welcome to the class. I look forward to spending a semester with you. Here are the topics for next week, and happy learning.